With lupus nephritis, your kidneys cannot function properly to remove waste from your blood and control the amount of fluids in your body. Kidney disease caused by lupus can create many health problems.
It does disproportionately impact communities of color. It's 4 times more prevalent in African Americans and Asians. And they usually get the disease at a much younger age, and it's more severe.
Lupus is a type of arthritis where the body starts attacking itself. It's called an autoimmune disease. The cells of the immune system start attacking the kidneys, the skin, and the joints. And people with lupus end up with inflammation in their joints and swelling and arthritis. They also can end up with kidney disease. Now, lupus is seen predominantly in women. It's 9 times more common in women than in men, and particularly common in African American women. It tends to be seen in women of childbearing age. We say basically 15 to 45, although it can be seen in other individuals as well.
Remember, lupus is a chronic disease, so patients will be dealing with this for a long period of time.
Roughly about 60% of patients that have lupus over the course of their life will have some type of involvement in the kidneys. And when that happens, depending on the type it is, when untreated, it can be very bad. And about 50 to 60% of people can wind up on dialysis or require transplant within 5 years. That's the bad news. The good news is that when treated with agents, and particularly the newer agents that are under development, we can put a lot of people into remission.
Lupus nephritis can be secret, so many patients will not know they have it. They will know sometimes that they have lupus, but they may not know that they have the nephritis.
And what that means is that the person's natural immune system has difficult determining what is self from non-self. And as a consequence, you develop antibodies and various types of inflammation that invade and infiltrate the kidney, and over time damages the kidney. And in about 40% of patients can lead to such damage that they require dialysis or even renal transplantation.
It mainly occurs in the younger age groups as compared to most other kidney diseases. It is thought to happen when different mechanisms in our body that are usually in place for protecting us unfortunately start turning against us and start hurting our organs, including the kidneys. When this happens, the kidneys tend to start losing function and leaking blood and protein in the urine.
Lupus nephritis can be associated with several complications, including high blood pressure, fluid retention, and edema. Additionally, increased cardiovascular risk. It can lead to chronic kidney disease, progressive kidney function decline, and eventually kidney failure.
They get this frothy, kind of bubbly type of urine. When we think about the kidneys help us to get rid of fluid, and some patients who are impacted with lupus nephritis, the kidneys don't function as well. And therefore we see the fluid backs up. So we can see swelling of the ankles. That can translate to some shortness of breath and other features that we see. There are some patients who have no features at all. And that's the importance of following up on a regular basis with your healthcare provider so we can do the things that we routinely do.
The kidney is the organ that helps control and regulate the fluid in our bodies. So fluid retention. It could also be that the blood pressure is high, and people will say that they have headaches.
Swelling of the hands, face, feet, belly, or around the eyes, weight gain, drowsiness, urine that looks brown or foamy, or urinating less often than normal.
So with the urinalysis, it gives me a scope of what's going on inside the kidneys themselves. And indeed, in a normal kidney where I shouldn't see certain things like red blood cells and protein, once there's a hint of those features in the urine of a lady with lupus, that can be the heralding feature that it can be some signs of lupus nephritis.
A kidney biopsy is the gold standard for diagnosing lupus nephritis. The only way to confirm that is to take a piece of that kidney tissue and look at it under the microscope. There are signs and symptoms that we do associate with lupus nephritis. Identifying the inflammation in the kidney is critical to the diagnosis. Additionally, identifying how much inflammation and how much scarring is in the kidney tissue helps clinicians guide therapy.
It's a more difficult disease to treat. you need more aggressive treatments. And you don't have time. Time is kidney in this situation. So we have to act really quick, even before full-blown disease. So that's why it's important to check our patients, check their urine, and detect early changes. So if we can treat that early, we prevent worse outcomes. And also, we try to prevent multiple flares. So this is a disease that will come back again and again. So if we try to prevent that from happening and minimize the attacks, then the less damage that we'll have in the kidney.
That there is literally dozens of different types of agents that are now under various stages of development. And as we've learned more about how the disease works, what this dysregulation of immunity is, and how it affects the kidneys, we're able to design much more specific therapies that can give people real promise.
In many practices, including my own, we see patients every 3 or 4 months so I can monitor their blood counts. I can monitor their urine. I can monitor their vital signs, including their blood pressure.
The treatment of lupus nephritis consists of immunosuppressive medications. Depending on the severity of lupus nephritis, immunosuppressants are given to help control the immune system and reduce the immune attack on the kidney. Patients are treated with blood pressure lowering medications, which also can help preserve kidney function and reduce protein in the urine. Finally, antimalarials are a cornerstone of treatment for systemic lupus, and in patients with lupus nephritis have been found to have additional benefits in controlling lupus nephritis.
It's extremely important to have treatment options that are effective, and just recently we had 2 drugs approved by the FDA for lupus nephritis, so it's an extremely exciting time in our community. These are the first time that drugs have been approved specifically for lupus nephritis, and they're going to open, hopefully, the floodgates of other drugs in the pipeline so that there's better and newer treatment options for people living with this very debilitating disease.
While treatment is vital for lupus nephritis, certain lifestyle choices such as diet and exercise can also help play a critical role in managing your disease. We're finding new treatments all the time. We're understanding the disease better. I would love to not see young women go into kidney failure from this disease. I think it's so important that there be early diagnosis and treatment to prevent this from happening.
We can prevent the disease, for the most part, from progressing to dialysis. We still have a ways to go, but it's a much brighter landscape than it was even 5 years ago.